Welcome to the hot topic. My name is Bill Dan. I hope you guys have had an amazing week. We are just days into the general election 2022. UCU decides who will be the next guild president, who will be your next MP, who will be your next leader. We shall be knowing that in a few days to come, but today we shall be digging deep into the election. Already, we have an electoral roadmap that has been set. We have campaigns set to be starting next week. We're having nominations completed. We had applications done. What next? How is the election going to be running? Right now, let's go for a trigger. After that trigger, we'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back from that trigger. As you have seen, we're discussing the viability of an online election versus the physical elections. What carries more weight? What is more important? Today I'm being joined by a very elegant panel of very good speakers, very good analysts. Ladies and gentlemen, on my extreme left, allow me to introduce Isaac Matt, who happens to be a sports journalist, a political analyst, a very good orator, and a very good person at talking. Isaac Matt.
A person, yeah. I send also my greetings to you all. Thank you, Bill Dan, for hosting me on this show. This is my first time to be on the hot topic. UC Focus TV, big up. My name is Isaac Matt. I work with ABCD. I'm a public speaker. I'm a debater, political analyst, and a sports journalist.
But Isaac Matt, just to cut you short from there, you happen to be a sports journalist. How do you juggle sports analysis with historical political events?
Yeah, by the way, even yesterday there is a friend of mine who asked me, how do you balance these things? I call it talent. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. We shall find out that talent during the course of the show. And just next to Isaac Matt is a man that is in the control panel. He's the man in the wheelchair of the elections 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, let's meet Sechizivu Boni Joseph. I hope I'm right with that. He happens to be the financial secretary to the Electoral Commission 2022. He's in his final year doing law. He's a very elegant speaker, very determined young man for the time I've known him. A very proud Buganda man. Sechizivu, how are you doing?
Well, I'm very fine. And I like the way you described me. Of course, I take the blessing. The name is Joseph Boni Sechizivu. I'm a fourth-year law student. And at the moment, I'm in the capacity of the financial secretary to the EC. Now, of course, we are going to discuss quite many issues relating to the election, and I'm going to answer everything that will be asked.
Sechizivu, some money from your docket.
Well, I think money is not to dispose everywhere. I think it must facilitate the process, because realize we are working under a constrained budget. As from when Parliament gave us the money, it was really constrained. Mm-hmm. The money that we have gotten from the candidates is going to help us run the process until the last day of the elections. So we really pray for divine intervention in the process, because we are because God is ours. He always takes care of us. So we hope for a smooth process. Of course, there will be challenges within the process, but with the power of God, we shall pass through them.
Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction, Sechizivu. Just next to Sechizivu is a lady joining the panel, a very beautiful lady. Most of you are going to agree with me. She's very intelligent for the little time I know her, and she happens to be an actress. She's representing the JNO students' view. She's a second year journalism student. Let me get that very right. And she's a very passionate speaker as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let us introduce Talemwa Deborah. Yeah, have I got that correct?
Yes, you have. Thank you for having me, Bill Dan. And I think you've said everything. Yeah, I'm a student, and I'm here to represent us and understand this process.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now we have... I'm coming back to you, Sechizivu, yeah? We have started a process. We started the process by the Electoral Commission launching a roadmap, which roadmap was really very clear. After the roadmap, we had applicants being called. After that, we had nominations finalized, and now we're having vetting. I think tomorrow, Friday, we shall be having parliamentarians being vetted by the faculties. Now, clearly speaking, what next is in plan after that?
Thank you so much. Well, the Electoral Commission, mandated by the Constitution of UCU, the Guild Constitution, under Article 78, is mandated to organize elections. That is the general duty of the Electoral Commission. Of course, we're aware that the lifespan of a government is 1 year. So in that capacity, we decide to, every end of government, we make elections that will take us to a transition, and a peaceful one to that effect, to a next government. Now, with the Electoral Commission, we issued a roadmap. Of course, many activities have been done. Of course, there are some others left, but right now, we are at the stage of nominations. However, within the nominations, we have re-advertised some positions. It has been the practice in UCU that we always have a by-election next semester, that is next year. We always have a by-election, but given unavoidable circumstances, we as the Electoral Commission, we decided not to have one next year because really there is a lot to look at next year. So we decided that every position should be filled right now. So today, I think at around 11 in the morning, the Electoral Commission re-advertised some positions. But I want to say that the process is still moving, because right now we are at nominations, which are closing in a time not further from now. They will be closing nominations, and the Electoral Commission will decide to whether issue out the results or not, depending on how we shall sit and decide. So these people who have been, the positions that have been re-advertised include MP Theology, and it is quite funny that most of them thought they only apply in a by-election, which I find so absurd. So we have decided to include them in the general election. Then also there was MP Residence Female. It only had one candidate. And by law, that position needs 2 people. So we really felt that maybe there would be a circumstance that, impeded someone from applying. We reopened, we re-advertised those positions for them to apply, such that we at least have a competitive kind of election. Not one that we shall, people will go unopposed and such a kind, because in a democratic dispensation, it must be fair competition for all. Then as well for MP residents, male, that one, definitely the number of people was the 2 that we needed had applied, but then there came a complaint of people outside who had intentions of standing, but they were locked out because of the problems in their alpha system. They could not access the application form. So, as Equity Aids the vigilant and not the indolent, they raised an alarm to us, which we responded positively. We have now given them a chance to, we advertise these positions to apply. So they are going to apply.
So people of same can now apply?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
We have kind of tried to remedy that problem, because many were coming into our inboxes telling us how we are unfair, all those things. So through Equity, we really decided that let us re-advertise these positions and we get the ball rolling. Then the other position is MP Special Needs. In a community like this one, everyone has to be catered for. In as much as we have catered for other positions, but as well there was that group that was not catered for. Last semester, they were catered for through a by-election, which we didn't want this semester, so we have included them in the general election, such that they also get their representatives. So that is the state of the election. So after the nominations being closed, we are going for vetting on Thursday. And trust me, to the dear candidates we have, the vetting process will be a very smooth one. It will have a QA, question and answer, and we shall grade you based on the questions you've answered. But I hasten to mention that the vetting process is by law authorized. I remember last semester we had a case which was Manige Joab versus the Electoral Commission and another who is the Attorney General, in which a group of students and Manige Joab, a petitioner himself, and a candidate in the by-election last semester was contesting the vetting results, that it is unconstitutional. And at the Guild Tribunal, the judges in their wisdom ruled that the vetting process is really unconstitutional. But however, being a lawyer in the making and being a student who is well versed with the law, we filed our appeal to the Disciplinary Council, which had the appeal, and all parties were heard fairly. So the outcome of that council, they gave a decision unanimously that the vetting process is constitutional and it has been a custom time immemorial, and it has been witnessed by quite a number of people, even the elders in society, because when you look at the tests of a custom, it so fulfills all those tests. So I want to say, whoever wishes to challenge the electoral process, specifically vetting, I think is proceeding on a floric of his own, because we have authority to that effect, and therefore, and he will be actually bound by the doctrine of res judicata, because the same facts were determined by a court, which court you will be running to. So I think the process will be a smooth one. So that is the next process. After the vetting, the successful candidates will be shortlisted, but then there will also be vetting for presidential candidates by the faculties. Now that one, it is not the Electoral Commission that votes. It is under Section 28 of the Constitution that all guild aspirants are vetted by their respective faculties. So from there, we shall release them to go campaign in their electorates. After the campaign, the hot-heated campaign, because I'm sure it will be hot, because I'm seeing formidable candidates for all positions. Thereafter, we shall subject them to an election which is free, fair, and impartial.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sachizibu, for that very great introduction. Right now, I would like to get to Isaac Matt. Isaac Matt, you have heard Sachizibu talk about the electoral process, how he expects the electoral process to be. As a person in your doctrine who is an analyst, do you think this electoral commission is formidable? Do you think it is credible enough to organize these elections we're running to?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bill Dan, and my friend Joseph Boni. You know, before I give you my take, let me first give you a simple history. In 2019, that's when Joseph joined UC. In 2019, that's when I also joined UC. That's when I met him. I remember we met at the Guild Park. That day we were seated on a tent. We were discussing politics. So it was a group of lawyers and a group of journalists. So you can imagine the brains that were there. Now, as we were discussing, there is a friend of mine who is called Isaac Mukisa. I think he's going to graduate this year. He told me, Matt, that guy is good. He's a good debater. Then I said, who am I talking to? Who am I saying? Then I told him, that guy you were seeing. Are you getting it?
Yes, please.
So I'm trying to tell you, because the first time I attended class here at UCU, I told my classmates that I'm going to contest as a guild president. So
what happened?
At that time, yeah, I'm trying to come. So at that time, we were trying to look for people with whom we were going to build that mastermind. So Joseph was one of them, because of the way he used to articulate, especially in the way he used to debate. I remember that time, I'm sorry to bring in the partisan politics. People power was at a peak at that time. So we were trying to discuss the government, NUP, and what. Are you getting it? But now, to sum it up, currently, you asked me why I failed. The truth is that I never failed, because COVID came in 2020. And then we had to shift to 2021. But when 2021 reached, remember, here at UCU, the law faculty has numbers. That's the truth. And since the law faculty has numbers, the other faculties are like opposition parties.
Really?
In my take, in my analysis.
Yeah, the views expressed on this show are clearly individual and not representative of UC Focus TV.
Yeah.
Isaac, Matt, over to you.
Yeah, so in 2021, I met Philip Ayebare Bravo. It was night at 8 p.m. I was from buying a chicken pack from the guild canteen, and then we met. So Philip told me, Matt, we need to talk. Then we sat. When we sat, we talked for a number of minutes. But as we talked, Philip told me, you know what, Matt? We need to unite these other faculties. Education, journalism, business, if we want to break the law faculty. Because the law faculty is very much united and it has numbers. So if you come, and I also come from the business faculty, and then these lawyers also bring theirs, we are going to mess up. So he convinced me, and then we said, you know what, Philip, I think we shall go. But I was very much, I was gloomy about it. But I had to believe it. But I am trying to build for you a history of Mr. Boni. Now, currently the problem is that last year, the guys came back to power. And then Philip missed at a hinge. But today now, I see Bone is the financial secretary for the EC. That's a big take. That's a big promotion. Because now, right now, for us, our team lost. And now we are just analysts. Are you getting it? But the good thing is, one, that if you see the way Bone is with his colleagues, like at the EC, I believe the question you asked me, that are these elections going to be very much viable? I believe it. Because at least on the team, I have a guy whom I saw when we were coming from high school. Are you getting it? And I had tested his intelligence. That indeed, if now is now part of the EC, I believe that is a thing. And at least don't forget that he also said that this time around they don't want by-elections. That is a big thing. Because in the recent ECs, guys they have not been bringing out that implementation. But you see that he has also verified that. That means that these guys want to do something for real in order for it to go out.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Isaac Matt, for that. Over to Debbie over here. So Debbie, you've seen the election, the electoral roadmap. We're already almost halftime into the elections. With what you've observed as a person, do you think we're in the right direction?
I think the Electoral Commission has set a right path for what they want to do. But my only concern is what Bonnie has just mentioned, that there are people that are off semester that came in with complaints that they have not been given access to actually stand for positions. So how, if even contestants don't have the ability to stand for positions, then how are people off semester supposed to vote? These people are also part of Uganda Christian University. Like, what strategies has the Electoral Commission put in place to have those people participate in this election, for it to be free, fair? He spoke about equity. So how exactly is that supposed to happen?
Okay, so the EC left people out. Bonnie will answer to that because I'm just getting to him right now. Now, Bonnie, the Uganda Christian University Students' Constitution, as amended on 22nd November 2022, clearly stipulates that elections will be held through secret ballot. And secondly, that means the elections are going to be physical, because secret ballot involves ticking ballot papers. And now, I understand that we're having a new norm of online elections. Without amending the constitution that the Guild had amended in 2022, your commission is going ahead to organize an online election. Aren't you bridging the constitution? Aren't you bridging the framework you're supposed to work and operate under as a commission?
Thank you so much for that question. It's a really good one. But we'll say the question also provides that it shall be secret ballot. But we are all aware of what befell the nation, of what happened, and what circumstances are not allowing us to hold an election that is of the secret ballot. What we have to understand, and the Dosa spoke about it when we were launching this roadmap. She said Uganda Christian University was declared an online campus. Call it e-campus. Therefore, all programs of the campus should have to fit, all stakeholders should make sure all their programs fit within the framework of the online system. Therefore, it is now to us as the EC. And then, I want to remind you that it is not only our EC that has done that. Even the previous ECs have done that. They have held elections and even campaigns virtually.
Don't you think you are failing already as an EC?
Wow, I don't think we are failing. Because and to the point she said, viable and inclusive, you realize the voter turn-up for a general and physical election is way too low than that of a virtual one. Because we have registered a 75% increment in voter turnout on virtual elections. Why? Because someone is voting at the comfort of their bed. This is online. You're using your phone to vote. You don't require... Let me take you back to a fact. Many factors led to the loss of President Trump. But one of the most outstanding factors that led to his loss to the presidency and favored Joe Biden always encouraged his supporters to vote using the available mediums. Say, the mail voting, the phone mobile voting. He encouraged his supporters to vote. Then here is the Trump. Trump comes and tells them, no, let us turn up on the voting day, the election day. Okay? Now, What is the effect of that? Number one, take for instance, the weather changes and mobility is difficult. That person will be locked out because they will not be able to access the polling station. And number two, people have different problems. Take for instance, maybe someone loses someone or something that is really unavoidable happens and impedes that person from election. Now, that reduces, that is why President Trump lost. Now, coming into our jurisprudence and, our environment, most students are actually using the online system much more than even those going to vote using the ballot system because it's at the comfort of their bed altogether. So I think we are not failing. We are registering results. If you're to look at the nomination numbers, the numbers are way too high. Why? Because people are nominating in the comfort of their beds, in the comfort of their lecture rooms. Even when someone is at the restaurant, they are voting, they're nominating. So I think it is not a sign of failure. It is hope. There is a mirror of hope, I'm saying.
Okay, let me cut you short from there. I want to bring Isaac Matt. I'm seeing him smiling. It means he has something to say. Now, Isaac Matt, the Electoral Commission in itself is supposed to be the highest law-abiding institution that any place can have. If the EC starts breaking the law, our vote is safe. Isaac Matt, get us from there.
Last year, the EC did the same. But I will say that at least last year we were still having that doubt whether the COVID was still in us, in the public or not. This year, I don't know whether they are going to tell us that we have Ebola. I don't know whether they are going to tell us that we have COVID. I'm sorry that I'm still having my mask. But the only thing is one. If the Constitution is telling us to legally use a secret ballot, the EC, Mr. Boni is a lawyer. In his first presentation, he said he follows the law. And I know he's a good law follower, and even he is going to become a practitioner soon, some years to come. So what will he tell? Let me say we are now in the field and we are Bill, you are hosting a big political show in the country. What will he tell? Are you getting it? Currently now, the Constitution tells me that I have to vote in a secret ballot. That's my right. Let me tell you, at a larger extent, online voting is a mess.
Can you elaborate on the mess that an election has?
Currently now, let me tell you, Bill, if you are saying that someone can vote when he's at a restaurant, in hostels, premium, are you getting it? St. Michael. But let me tell you, do you know that at premium, guys are using their own data? That's money. Students are at campus. They're hustling out. Are you getting it? Even some days they end up just drinking water, and you are just seeing smart people walking on campus. But people are hungry. Are you getting it? So now leave out that. Leaving out buying data. Another thing. Some students have good phones, but even network. Today, WhatsApp had gotten some problems. Are you getting it? It was down. Imagine on that day if internet goes down. If any complication happens, that means that at a larger extent, online voting is going to be just very much at a low pace. For his take on the Dosas point, the Dosas said that UC was
declared
an e-campus. Yeah. Okay, that's good, and that's a big step in the education system, especially of the higher institutions in Uganda. But does a student who is currently seated at the main canteen taking his juice know that? I might be well conversant about it, but does the student who is currently off campus or off semester know that? Are you getting it? Some of them even think that, you know what, let's go, we shall be voting. Imagine, I'm imagining that, do you know that last year, people, like, the election happened twice, is it? Last year we had a lot of complications.
Okay, thank you so much. We're getting a lot of points from Isaac Matt. We shall have that later on in the debate. I hope you guys are having fun. Please comment, tell us about what you think about these elections. Are they viable? Do you think they are going to be credible? Right now, let's go for a short commercial break. When we return, we'll be diving deep into the show.
Just like that, like I should be okay, and watch like that.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. I hope you guys have gotten a cup of water as you're watching this great debate with great minds discussing UCU Decides 2022. That's the hashtag we're using on Twitter, UCU Decides 2022. You can go and drop your comment about what you think about the election. You, of course, do remember to follow us on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, this channel where you're watching us from, and also our Twitter channel. Yeah, right now I want to get to Deborah, and we're getting into the gist, trying to understand the mode of election and if it's really appreciated. Now, Deborah, you've been on ground with students across the corridors of the halls, in hostels, in the walkways of campus. What is the reaction of students to this online election?
Well, I think as students, these are students. It's all about convenience, like what Bonnie spoke about. Of course, we understand the system may go down, many things may happen, but the point is, no one wants to leave their bed to go and line up the whole day. So it would be easier if it is accessible on the phone, which is actually what is being done. And he spoke about how we have a 75% turn-up, and I think that is very good for the Electoral Commission, because that shows us that there are more people willing to participate. And the more the participation, I think the better.
Yeah, people are participating. There's a very high turn-up. Sechizivu, don't you think the EC should push for an amendment on that article that calls for a secret ballot process? Don't you think your commission should have done that a long time ago? Don't you think you're sleeping on your job?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, it is quite important for us to understand the mandate of each public body or a government body. Now, that in itself, if I'm to say, it's the work of the legislature, because even Article 2 of the Constitution will tell us power belongs to the people, who will in turn sacrifice that power for protection from the government. Now, what does that mean? It is the duty of Parliament. Our duty, our role as the EC is to advise, which we have done time and again. We asked for an act. Up to now, the legislation has not been made. And realize we are operating in a time frame that is limited, a year for a government. Now, let me just hint on the process of making an act for the EC. Because we try to adopt rules of the EC, electoral rules. But trust me, legally, you cannot have rules regulating a body which don't emanate from an act. Rules emanate from an act, statutory legislation, under Article 78.2 of the Constitution, National Constitution. Now, the process is, you have to first of all initiate the process, Parliament, but not within only the main campus. You have to move to Mbale, you go to Bishop's, those other campuses in the west, even Kampala campus. So look at the time we are operating. And that does not mean we are not students. We also have other things to cope up with, right? In as much as we chose leadership, but we also have our personal things that brought us, right? So the process is quite a little bit hard, but we asked for it. And you've rightly said, I think it's the time. We have done the advising. We are now leaving it to the legislature. But I want to, first of all, reply to what my learned friend said. You see, what I want us to have on this show is an objective assessment of election as opposed to a subjective analysis of views. Now, my friend here used the subjective analysis. You're subjecting things to emotion, to impeding factors. But an objective analysis would look at, is it results-oriented? That is what we want. And she has explained it. It is results-oriented. I can just hint on it. Right now, the nomination stand is standing at 2,000 people. You can imagine. It's such tremendous, as opposed to the other electoral processes. So I think it is right for us to adopt an objective analysis.
But Sechizivu, don't you think if I went to the courts of law contesting the election you're organizing online, don't you think I would, by default, win that petition? If we go to a legitimate court, let me put legitimate on it.
All right. Thank you so much. I like that question, and it's in the legal perspective. Now, the Constitution is very clear. The election shall be by secret ballot. But an election is not an event. An election is a process. Now, tell me any article in the Constitution that says all the processes within the electoral process or events within the electoral process shall be physical? Mention that article for me. Nonetheless, we made even the EC, of course, maybe if someone wishes to run to court, you don't know yet. Because a roadmap is subject to amendment. It is not cast in stone. Yes? So if you're trying to challenge that this thing should be, physical by secret ballot, who knows? Things may change in the boardroom. Yes? But that notwithstanding, the processes, the Constitution doesn't require that these things be physical. Because the EC reserves of the right. And all matters of procedure are to the EC, they shall decide. Under Article 78, it's very clear. They shall decide on how to proceed until the final day. So I really don't think, if anyone chooses to go to the courts of law, I want to make mention that you will be proceeding on the floor of your own.
Okay, thank you so much for that clarity. Right now we are having an election, and the independence of the Electoral Commission is very central to any election. So right now I'd like to go over to Isaac Matt to examine for us what he thinks about the independence of the UCU Electoral Commission.
Can you break down that?
No, independence, like authority, like not having, the EC does not have hands from outside, control. Hands from the government itself, hands from people, leaders, big people in Senate. Yeah, could you clarify on that?
Currently, before even I clarify it for you, I want to first go back to Mr. Bonnie's point. Madame Rachel, His Excellency.
Her Excellency.
Her Excellence, sorry. I respect her. She's such a good brain. Like, she has those brains that are least. Because if you see an institution like UCU being led by a lady, this is very much big. That means that she's compared to like Fleeman. Are you getting it? So I just give you that respect. But the MPs, our MPs that we voted, indeed, why is the Constitution still emphasizing us to go to the secret ballot? Yet even currently now our university is already declared an e-campus. That thing needs to be changed. That point is noted, I think. Now, to your issue of the independence. For me currently, I think the Electoral Commission, if I'm answering your question very much right, the Electoral Commission has some hands. I don't think they are independent. I don't think.
Mr. Chizivu, I see you nodding your head. It seems you want to say something. Can you first? No, I want to cut you short from there. I have seen Mr. Chizivu nodding his head. I want him to say something, then I get back to you.
You see, I think I'm just nodding my head. I'm just wondering the kind of, I could call them reckless statements coming from my colleague. Because, you see, the law, I keep mention of this article, 78, because it's where I derive my mandate as a commissioner to the EC. Now, the law gazettes the Constitution as a body corporate. What does that mean? With rights to sue and to be sued. Okay? We are self-budgeting. Usually, what makes a body, having hands of, those many hands, if the money they are going to use to run the process is decided by someone, then that means we need to, be beggars. Please give us this money. But the commission is self-budgeting.
Okay. Isaac Matt, over back to you.
So, Bill, just a moment.
I've gotten that. No, I've gotten where he was nodding his head. No, I want to get back to Isaac Matt. Isaac Matt, you'll have time to explain yourself later. Yeah. Let Isaac Matt finish up what he was building.
While I was building, Bill, I want to be very much to exaggerate it, and I want our viewers to try to understand my exaggerative point that I'm trying to bring out. How the students that are leading the Electoral Commission, is the Electoral Commission balanced? Are all the faculties represented on the Electoral Commission? That is a point. And I want you, my viewers, to exaggerate my point very well. I don't want you to get it in a simple manner. Are all faculties represented on the Electoral Commission? Go to the last two governments. Are all faculties represented in the ministerial bodies? No. So if I say that, I don't think, these are my views. I'm not saying we. I'm saying I don't think that Electoral Commission is independent. I have a point.
Okay. Thank you so much, Isaac Matt. Let me get over to Deborah. Do you think the Electoral Commission of these elections are independent?
Okay, from what Isaac Matt said, his own words, he said the lawyers are the majority. So if we are considering equity, then we cannot have the same number of lawyers as the same number of, let me say, journalism students, for example. That will be equality and not equity. So I think it's actually a balanced electoral commission. And as he said, they are an independent body. And they can be sued. So I think Bill Dan, sorry,
Isaac
not
Matt.
Bill Dan, Isaac Matt.
Yeah.
If he has a problem with them, you can sue.
Okay. Thank you so much for that very clear point. Now, Isaac, Mr. Sejizivu, I want you to answer this question. Before you answer the question, I want to ask you. There was an issue of balance, and I've got disturbing news that some faculties do not have members of parliament, and I feel it is not fair for them. I hope you're aware about that. We're having a science faculty, the science faculty especially, they have representation from another faculty, and I don't feel they're getting well represented. I want you to elaborate on that after talking about your independence.
Okay, thank you so much. The question of independence of the Electoral Commission is quite an interesting one, but I want to make mention and reply to my colleague that first of all, what he's talking about is nowhere the mandate of the EC. We don't mandate ourselves to balance the vote, yes? It is the mandate of the president because the constitution vests power of appointment in the president and not the Electoral Commission. I, as the finance secretary, cannot say, no, because lawyers are many, let me just appoint one. It all comes from the presidential appointment. It is the president who appointed, okay? Then allow me, first of all, and I actually made a mistake, I didn't give the composition of the EC. The EC, under 78, has a chairperson. He's called Mr. Bob Tuhimbisibwe. He's a law student. Are we together? The EC has a general secretary, who is called Madam Nakaziwa Miriam. Yes, she's a law student. And I, the finance chair and finance commissioner, who is a law student. Now, the secretary of publicity is a journalism student, Ijo David. We all know him, right? Then the vice chairperson to the commission, she's called, I'm forgetting the name. She's Chemtai? Yes, Joan. Yes, Joan. She's a business student, right? So I think, and all the other returning officers, Uncle Tom. So I don't think it is a law student's affair. No, I don't think. And then, like I said, it goes back to appointing committee, right? So it's not in our mandate. And then still on the issue of independence, the independence of the commission is not cast in books. You know the constitution, much as it's the governing law, but it is just a document. So independence is not in that document. The independence is the practical things we are seeing. We have issued a roadmap. Are we together? And who have you seen as the big men coming to say, no, we don't want this program on the roadmap? That shows independence. It's a sign of independence. We are handling our finances. At the moment, I'm holding the money of the EC because I'm mandated to hold that money and account for the EC. No other person is holding that money. It is me. So independence should be practical, not in the books, like the way it is. I think we have to give an in-depth analysis of the word independence. Back to your question. Now, the issue of faculty representation is quite a contagious one. In as much as the EC has the mandate of making sure we organize the election, there are some rules we play by, right? So, faculties, I can make mention, faculties like agriculture.
Yeah.
You know? Now, the information we got, and
sciences.
Yes, and as per the rules, that you have to have a certain number of people for you to be gazetted as a constituency.
How many people are we talking about?
I think it's close to around 200 to 300 people. I'm not certain of the figures, but there's a certain number. If I'm given time, I would get those particulars or even communicate them widely, okay? But when you look at those faculties, they don't pass the test, yes? We have to play by the rules. They don't pass the test. Therefore, leaving them unrepresented, it is better to take them, be represented by another faculty, right? Because they don't pass the test. It is legally provided for.
But do you think their views are well represented in the parliament?
Wow, I like that question. Now it goes back to the leadership. You see, there's one thing called leadership. One man made a statement and he said, the reason as to why Uganda is still poorly developed, and I can authoritatively say this, as juxtaposed to Dubai, which was a desert, is the question of leadership. Society has fed us Ladies and gentlemen, society has fed us. Society has given us this. The clothes we are wearing, the food we are eating in society. Why then don't we as an electorate give it a leadership it deserves? But I want to say, right now, I'm not speaking as a commission, but I'm speaking as a person in society, one of the people in society. We are going to choose based on friendship. He's my friend. You see, this democracy is quite funny. It deprives of good leadership. I don't know which alternative we can take, but democracy still remains the constant, right? So you look at the way people are going to vote. This guy is my friend. We eat from touch of glass. He votes. But living, I know it's their choice, yes. But then we need capability. So it goes back to the leader you have chosen. That leader, because remember they are going to elect the same person. Are we together? So which kind of character have they put in the position? Is it the character that is going to represent them vehemently in parliament? Is it the character who is going to sleep on their views? That's a question for all of us to answer. It's food for thought. Yes? As an electoral commissioner, I have given them equity aids the vigilant and not the indolent. You see, a brief history of equity. We had common law. Common law was a system of law that was so vague. The only remedies it provided was only damages, which was not sufficient, okay? Now, equity came in to bridge those gaps, okay? Now, because the law is quite clear. We are going by common law. You don't have the numbers. You don't have a constituency, right? But equity has come to play. No, let us give them a representation. Okay, equity has aided you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sechizivu.
Thank you, sir.
Over to you, Deborah. We're having a very heated up discussion right now about faculties that are not represented, and I can point out the agriculture faculty, which you mentioned, food sciences, which you mentioned, and a reason being the numbers are not the numbers that a constituency is supposed to have. And the question I'm having now is, don't you think that these students who are doing different, because they are being represented by faculty of engineering, don't you think they are being misrepresented? Because problems of faculty of agriculture are problems of faculty of agriculture, and engineering students are not concerned about it. Don't you think these students are being left out? Much as they're a small number, they happen to be part of society.
Equity, honestly. Okay, it comes down to the fact that we have a constitution, and we cannot start the debate by saying we should follow the constitution, then go on and say we should refute it. We, the agricultural students, should choose a leader that will be able to speak for them on that matter. I am not saying this because my faculty is represented, but I think it comes down to the fact that we are the people that put people into power. And yeah, you need to speak up and complain. Okay, speak up about what is affecting you. Of course, it's unfair that there are students that are not being represented, but if it has been happening for a while and they have never said much about it and it has not changed, then the leadership has an issue.
Okay. Isaac Mata, I want you to comment on this same issue.
The truth is that Madam Deborah, I respect her, and I want to highlight this to her. One of the things that a student can celebrate while at campus is seeing or hearing my voice, like echoing, especially in the guild government or in the guild council. Mm-hmm. I want to tell you what a student, like suffocation, living out suffocation that you are not breathing. A student can suffocate. You don't know, let me tell you, an agricultural student, how can an engineer, like, this is not, let us put some logic in this. How can an engineer represent an agricultural student? It's like you saying that someone who's constructing a road is representing a farmer. From where? Are you getting it? At least for me, I believe that he said something very much crucial, that numbers, that's true, because me, I believe in the Constitution. If the Constitution says that, and these guys have no numbers, okay, we can go with what the Constitution says, that at least they have to be represented by another faculty. But at least as the EC, as the Parliament, as the Guild Council, can't we get, like Mr. Bonnie, for your time being the financial secretary of the EC, at least you've tried to bring an implementation that no by-elections. We need not no by-elections. Are you getting it this time around? Can't you people colleagues, at least bring an implementation for these students?
Okay, answer in a way.
Okay, please take that one.
Right,
you also want to say something?
Yeah.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Say something then.
Thank you
Say
so
something
much.
about it.
But Mr. Bill Dan,
Yes, please.
I want this the flow we are taking. First of all, to understand between two variables, you have faculty problems and the guild issues. Now let us not mix the two. You know, we are taking this debate in one thinking cap, that all problems fall under guild in the thinking cap. That is what Metternich did to the Austrians. He put them under one thinking cap, making them think it is only Metternich. Okay? Back here, faculty problems will fall to the faculty. Come on, they have a faculty. Mm-hmm. It is way different from a constituency. Mm-hmm. Because a constituency is for electoral purposes altogether. Now, faculty problems like no lectures, we don't have the equipment, that will fall to the faculty. And I want to make sure, I want to assure you, they have their representatives to the faculty, but this is the guild. Now, going back to the guild issues are general. And I want to deviate from what he said. You see, in those, let us go to national politics. In these constituencies, we have farmers, we have businessmen, we have lawyers, but it is one MP representing them, right? But at the end of the day, they are benefiting simply because they are very articulate in what they want that person to do for them, okay? And the person they chose is live to the fact that actually these are the problems that my people are facing. So let us not cause that kind of discrimination, that these are agriculturists, these are engineers, altogether. No, the guild issues are general. Faculty over, campus over, they're general.
Okay, thank you for that clarity. Over to Deborah. You had something to say to Isaac Matt?
Yeah, it's kind of close to what he wanted to say. Like, just because you do not have a representative, particularly for the agriculture student, doesn't mean that you should be passive about what you're facing, yet you have a representative already. Like, one who is generally representing you. And as I said, it's back to the leadership. You have a leader that is leading you. It is not that we have left them out and we have taken them, to the forest up on that hill and put them there. We are actually having someone speaking up for them. It's up to them to actually tell this person what they need him to do.
Mr. Bill Dan, I think Madame Deborah wants a recommendation from Mr. Bonnie. and I'm assuring you, in the next 21 years, if you see Deborah in the EC, this is the show that is going to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are reaching to the climax of the show. And as we get into the climax of the show, I have one question for Bonnie. Last year, we had 2 elections in one election. Yeah, we had the first election on Friday, and the system broke down. Then the election had to be pushed to the other week, I think on Wednesday. On Wednesday, yeah. What mechanisms do you? I understand these are not natural things. These are not human controllable things. What mechanisms do you, as an EC, have in place this time? Because one candidate claims that he would have won had the election happened on that day it was supposed to happen. What mechanism do you have now to avert such crisis?
Okay, thank you so much. And you see, I'm privileged to answer this question because in that, I'm now a finance chair to the finance commissioner at the EC, but then let me speak in the capacity of an affected candidate at the time. Because I ran for a position, MP non-residents.
Yeah.
I lost. I want to make mention of that, but it all goes back to the strategy I used. Nonetheless, that time, we had an election on Friday, but the system at the time was a bit archaic, yes? It was not up to date, right? And you very well know that technology is over time developing day by day. And I want to caution my fellow colleague here on the panel that the greatest mistake you can make in your life is being left by a generation. Being left behind by a generation. Transform with that generation. That is why you find people playing mommy and dad at this stage, because the generation left them. Okay? Back here. The internet transformation should never leave you. Cope with it, okay? Cope with it, because we are using phones. You're taking us back to whistling. You want to communicate to someone in Buguju, you whistle. Text, okay? Okay, now, at that time, the election we had, the system broke down. Like I said, it was a bit archaic. The system broke down. People could not vote. And of course, there is some insider information which I don't wish to share on this show. It is
Now, please share,
it's
please share,
classified-
please share, please
It's
share.
classified
Yeah,
information.
let's be frank.
You're talking as a person who was affected. So please
And
share.
by the way, he was,
No,
he was a
actually-
candidate by that time.
Actually, I got this information at the time when I'm now in the EC. You know, we had to have a self-evaluation as the EC because you cannot go to the future without solving these problems of the past. So we had to, first of all, look at what happened exactly. So that's where I landed on information that is kind of secret and kind of reserved, okay? But nonetheless, the system broke down. So we went to Wednesday, okay? The returning officer, who is the DOSA, went Wednesday and had the vote peacefully. By the way, it was peacefully, impartial, and it's so viable because I lost. But I didn't complain because indeed the numbers won my opponents, okay?
Did you
Now,
confirm that you legitimately lost?
Definitely
because
I did.
Okay,
I want to say that. I legitimately lost because, one, the strategy I used, and number two, the numbers were on their side. Sometimes you have to accept defeat because it's a sign that you're positive. Don't keep negativity at heart because negativity destroys, okay? Now, this EC, like I told you, first of all, we shall not keep lamenting. Even the Bible is very clear. Move from the book of Lamentations and go to Revelations. So we have to first of all look at what happened, what broke the system, and now as technology keeps, I want to tell you, Mr. Bill Dan and all the panelists here, the system we are going to use, the Ichagua system, has not failed, okay? We have added in ingredients. If it is a sauce, I'm telling you, it is a buffet. This one is a buffet.
Thank you very much for that clarity. Right now we are getting to the climax of the show. Now I just want all our guests in the studio right now to give us parting remarks. I'll be starting with Isaac Matt. Tell us to give us his parting remarks, and of course urge our voters out there to come out and cast their vote, come out and take part actively in the campaigns.
Yeah.
Isaac Matt.
Yeah, thank you.
30 seconds, please. I know you like over talking. 30 seconds are for you.
Yeah, but am I allowed to?
Yeah,
Just a thing, a little point.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
He said that for him, Mr. Bonnet said that for him, he's contented that he lost because the numbers were not on his side. But that is pretense. I'm telling you, if it's pretense because currently now he's holding a position in the EC. Are you getting it? But now for us, our team, the Bravo team lost. Are you getting it? We can't say that it was legit. Are you getting it? So if I was the financial secretary of the EC, I would have said that, it was legit, man. But now, are you getting the point?
I'm getting the
but
point.
now, to sum it up, thank you, our viewers, for VUCU Focus TV, The Hot Topic. Continue subscribing to our channel, comment, and also try to view these shows. Are you getting it? My name is Isaac Matt. I'm very proud and glad. I feel very much prestigious to be on this show. And I urge you guys, go vote. At least let us vote, and then we shall attack these guys in court after voting. Thank
you so much. Isaac Matt there has urged you all to go out and vote. Right now I'll be getting Deborah's parting shots. I've got information that she's going to be appointed as the next EC Financial Secretary. Deborah, please, your parting shots to the viewers out there.
Okay, those are just Isaac Matt's words. I am very impartial about this. Of course, I have personal candidates that I support, and I believe each one of you out there has someone that you see potential in. Look at potential, as has been said earlier. Some of us look at our friends, and if you know your friend is not a person to do that job, please move on and find someone who can do that. Let's be logical. Numbers don't lie. Yeah, let's go out and vote and participate.
Yeah, let's be logical. Let's not vote according to our friends. Right now, I'm having the big man himself, the man on the chair. I'll be having him often here to discuss issues of the election as they keep happening, as the electoral process keeps evolving. Our parting shots, Mr. Boni.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm really privileged to be hosted on this show. Now, as I conclude, I want to urge people to come and vote. Yes? Not even only vote, because remember I said the election is not a one-day event, it's a process. Okay? Let us take part. Be at the center stage of all these events within the process altogether. If it's nomination, please exercise your right. Okay? Then if it is voting, please. Because we have registered the highest number, 75% increment, as opposed to the 50 and 45% that was of the previous ECs. So I want to tell people, please, have faith in us. The EC is very independent. from the onset, it's very independent. We stick by the virtues of impartiality, fairness, altogether, and perhaps the entire thing is independence altogether. Now, one last thing. You see, we have said all this, we have done this, but the electorate and we people on the panel here, let us not forget what we call divine intervention. Because even within the process, you need God by your side. The Bible says in Isaiah 40, verse 8, that grass withers and plants wither, but the word of the Lord endures forever. Okay? Let us stick to the word of the Lord, because he who promised is faithful. I so submit. Joseph Bone is my name, Finance Commissioner to the EC.
Thank you so much, Joseph Boni. We have had a very nice discussion. I've enjoyed the panel today. I hope you guys have also enjoyed the panel out there as you are watching. Brilliant minds sharing out their opinion on UCA Decides. The hashtag is UCU Decides 2022. Let's start engaging on Twitter. Let's start moving the hashtag. Hope you guys have had an interesting show. We shall be having this show run every week for you, so you know what is happening around the university. Important issues, important discussions. Of course, don't forget to follow our pages on Twitter, UC Focus TV on YouTube. Do subscribe to the channel, and of course, hit the alarm bell down there. Hit the alarm bell down there. We have very good content here. We have a sports show coming up. We have a campus vibe. We have the campus news, Media Link news. That is, and of course, the hot topic. My name is Bill Dan Arnold. Right now, I want to go and get some money from the appointing committee after Deborah is appointed. Isaac, might you have something to say?
Bill Dan, before even the camera rolls out.
Yes.
How can a lawyer be a financial secretary? Why not a business?
Ladies and gentlemen.